Rev up your engines! All right, it's time for a front brake job. How do I know? Because when you're driving down the road and you hit the brakes, the steering wheel's wobbling. That generally means that your front rotors are warped. Now, of course, you could have a front end problem, tie rod ball joint, so when we jack it up in the air, at the jacking point under here, jack it so the wheel's off. We're gonna stick a jack stand there, but first, we'll pull on it. There's no play anywhere. There's nothing wrong with the front end. So I'll stick the jack stand under and then take the wheel off. We're gonna try something different today. I have a DeWalt 20-volt impact wrench instead of my usual plug-in one or my pneumatic one that runs on air pressure, which I know works. I'm trying this DeWalt out. We'll see if it can take these wheels off. Takes a little while, but it got that one off. Having a problem on this tough one though. Well, it failed on that one, so. Now this does have the smaller battery. My son's got batteries up the wazoo, so we'll take that one off. We'll put on a bigger battery. We'll see what happens. Here we go. You just needed a bigger battery. Forget the little baby 2 ampere hour, get the 5 one. It's got a lot more power. So we'll take off the wheel. Roll it over here. Measure with a micrometer, but I can feel grooves on this. When you hit the brakes, the steering wheel wobbles because the rotors are somewhat warped. Now we only have to take the bottom bolt up and flip it up, so we got a 14 millimeter. That'll loosen that. Now here's the trick. Get a big hammer. Give it a good whack. Now it's coming loose. And it's loose, but unfortunately it's spinning. So we've got lock pliers holding the inside. So now when we turn it, we can actually get it off. That nut in the inside often spins. Now it came off, see? That holds it in place there. And the whole thing just flips up. The brake pads themselves are still really thick, but when the rotors warp, guess what? They warp these, so just replace the pads too. And we'll take the caliper off. It just slides off backwards, placed in the back, but just sitting there. And then we got to take the 2 bolts off that hold it in place. Now the ones on the back here that hold it in, they're 17 millimeter, but they're on super tight. So here's the socket, 17 millimeter, and we're gonna put it on a cheater bar. Then it's relatively easy to beat it off. Now I can do it by hand. There it goes. Then we do the top one. Now we unscrew the top one, take it off. Then we'll whack this to get it off. Off it comes. So we're going to replace it, make a decent boat anchor for a small boat, but take my advice. Don't take them to a machine shop and have them machine flat to resurface them because they're already warped and they're thick. When they machine them, they take metal off, then they re-warp even faster. You'll be doing all this work for nothing if you end up turning them. Just replace them, and like I say, replace the pads because they're warped as they squeeze on. This is warped, it's going to warp these too. So it's off to the auto parts store. Call them first, make sure they got them. Now here's a tip. When you're buying rotors and pads, don't buy the cheapest ones if you want good service. I got these Duralast Golds. I got the cheapest ones. I got their decent brake pads. Now if you're really a fanatic about noise, you can get Akabono, but my son was in a hurry here. I didn't have time to order them. They didn't have any of those in stock, so these Duralast Golds are perfectly fine. And as for the rotors, I got the gold rotors too. They aren't colored gold, but they're better quality. And really, what's 10 or 15 bucks to get better quality ones? Now, as you can see, these have a coating on. You got to get rid of the coating. So I'll lean it against the tire, spray the coating off, wipe it off. We don't care about the front. Turn it around and do the other side. The coating is to keep from rusting because people don't like the look of rust. Now realize, of course, when you drive down the road, that's bare steel. Your rotors are going to rust as you're driving down the road. That's just the way it goes. This is more a sales thing. People don't like looking at new rusty rotors, so they coat them. But don't put any coating on them. You got to take it off before you put them on. And that, of course, is simple. They just slide on. If you get the right size ones, if they're wrong, you got the wrong size. And you just get the caliper, mounting bracket, bolts go on the inside. Then get them finger tight, bottom, then the top. And first use the socket wrench to get them snug. Then get your giant cheater bar to get them nice and tight. You don't want them falling off. Now the old caliper's going to have the pistons sticking out, so we got to squeeze them back in. You can get the old pad. And start squeezing. Then squeeze the other till they're squashed in. Then you can get a little bit of this braking caliper grease. Grease the pin a little. And slide it back on. Slide right in. Then we get the pads, and these already have shims built in, so the only thing we've switched is squealer on the top that tells you when you're running low. We took it off the old one and put it on a new one. Then we put a little caliper grease on each end so they don't make any noise, and slide them in. You twist them and slide them. And we also put a little lube on the inside of the caliper here and on the piston ends too, the metal part, so it'll slide on here. Then on the other side we want to put a little grease here. You only have a squealer on each side. You don't need two squealers to warn you when they get thin, just one side. Snap this in on the inside, same as we did on the outside, and voila! And we get the little bolt, screw it back on. As you can see right here, we screw that on. It's a 14 millimeter. Now here, realize if you get it too tight, you can break it. If you get it too loose, things can screw up. So, in this case, if you're not a pro like me, get your torque wrench. This particular one is 25 foot-pounds of torque. Stick this on. There we go. Then, of course, put the wheel back on and do the other side. Now you want to torque this right, so we'll just put these on loosely so they stop. We don't want to use this to tighten, just to get them loosely on. Then we're going to use our torque wrench again. Only in this case it's more, so it's set to 75 foot-pounds. Because if you get them too loose, they can fall off. Or if you get them too tight, you can warp the rotors, mess with the wheel bearings. It's a good idea to get a torque wrench, put them on that way. You can take them off any way you want, but to do the final tightening, you really should use a torque wrench. With these modern alloy wheels, you can screw up a whole bunch of stuff. So go get one. They don't cost that much. You can get a decent one for 70 bucks or so. Really, we're only half done. We got to do the other side too. But before we do that, the brake pedal's going to get spongy, so before you do the other side, pump it up. It's going to sink. And then it gets hard and stays hard. Jack it up on the jack notches. Same as the other side. Make sure you're not worn tie rods or something. Nothing's worn. This end's solid too. It's just warped rotors and pads. And we'll see if this DeWalt is going to take off the other side. I'm not really a big fan of battery powered stuff, but here we go. Well, it worked better that time. Like I said, it really needed the 5 ampere hour, stronger battery. But it worked perfectly fine. I gotta say, this DeWalt worked good for taking it off if you don't have any power supply around you. Just don't forget to use the brake clean. Clean the preservative oil off these things. And just take it apart like we did the other side. I'll try my hand this time. Whoa, my hand's stronger than I thought. Rip it off. Slide it over. And take the 2 bolts off the back. Knock off the rotor and put the new one on. And remember, when you're taking this one off, you can whack it as hard as you want because we're throwing it away anyway. And of course, get the caliper bracket on super tight. Maybe give it a couple of whacks with your hammer. You want them super tight? Squeeze the pistons in tight, using the old brake pads to squeeze them. Then put a little caliper grease on the slide pin, slide it in, get your brake pads. I already put the squealer on, put a little grease on the ends, and grease the inside of the caliper itself, where all the metal parts touch the pads. This just then snaps in. And that's how it goes. Do the same thing on this, give it a little grease. Snapping it on the other side. And there we go. This slides on, and we put the last bolt in if we can find it. Here it is. And remember to torque it right. And before we put the tire on, remember, pump the brakes. Because they'll go to the floor until you pump them and get them solid. Otherwise, if you're in a hurry, you don't pump them, you go flying out of your backyard and you hit the brakes, they'll go to the floor and you'll probably run into your neighbor's mailbox. And I have experience with that, so here's our new cedar post mailbox being cemented into the ground. So let's put it down, take it for a spin, and away we go. All right, we'll go up the hill, we'll hit the brakes, and no more shaking, we're fixed, hurrah! We'll try going downhill where there's more strain, and here we go. No shaking whatsoever. Stopped straight, doesn't shake. So there you have it. Now you've learned. Brakes, the steering wheel shakes. There's no problem in the front end. Nothing shaking when you jack it up. Change the brake pads and rotors. You can easily do it yourself. And I'm kind of surprised. It's the DeWalt 20-volt job. It was easily able to take off all of the wheels, but I did have to use the big 5 ampere hours. The little one wasn't strong enough. You do need big batteries in these things. There's no arguing that. But with the big battery, it took the wheels off. Just don't use it to put them on. You might screw it up. Use a torque wrench like I showed in the video. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.